Oh, hello. So here I am with you on this hot summer's day, spring day here in South Africa. It is rather hot. It's about 30 degrees, I think, the last time we looked. And I'm going to be speaking to you today about costs, which is a hot topic. So I suppose weather's appropriate. Okay, but first of all, I must check that you've got your tea. Actually, I'm halfway through my tea already because while I was waiting for everything to go live, I was sitting drinking my tea. So maybe that's a good thing because that means that you can sit back and relax and drink your tea while I chat to you. So I do hope you have your tea. See, I've got my candle here because I like my candle here because I just think it reminds you and me of the warmth and the comfort. And I hope that you will find this live streaming to be a comfort and a support and help to you. Okay, so let me begin with this topic that can be sensitive for some, but I'm going to hopefully help you to be happy about costs today because I have got good news for you. So I'm going to go over here onto our website and I'm going to show you, there we are, I'm at the website now. And now for the next little bit of time, what? Hello, I'm back. Thank you for waiting there with us, with me. I hope you didn't leave and you had time just to go and grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And yes, Karen, coffee does count. Karen is there with us today. Hello, Karen, and hello, Judy, and hello, Johan, I think it was. I'll have a look. Hello to those of you who have joined us. And thank you for being patient while we got going again because we had a little bit of a hiccup there at the beginning. And Mandy's there too. Hello, Mandy. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. So today's topic is going to be all about costs. And what I would like to do is I would like to show you around the website a little bit, the Oikos site, to show you where you can find, let me just show you rather than try and explain it. I'm going to go straight there now to the Oikos site. There we go. So you would go to oikosfamily.co.za and you would land on our homepage, I hope. And when you're on the homepage, you'll see here that there was our previous live streaming, all right, from a few days back. And then we always have a feature video. This one specifically about fear, because we did a top 10 series, a top 10 fears in home education. The things that people are most afraid of that we hear about often. We did a little series of that and we put them here. We put this now on the featured video and then we will just rotate that and change it depending on what the need is at the time. But currently the need has been about us to address the topic of fear because people have been afraid about what's going on in the economic situation, political situation and everything else. So we've dealt with the fear, we hope, by helping you with those top 10 fears series. And today we're going to be focusing, for now, on costs. And then I'm going to come back and answer any questions that you might be asking while I'm showing you this. So please just ask away there on the Facebook feed. And I will have a look at those and do my best to answer them, as well as answering the questions that have come in while we were waiting to go live. There's a few questions that I've got there too. So I'll answer those. Okay, so before I get distracted with the answering of questions, let me show you what I wanted to speak to you about today. And that is this whole topic of costs. So here we are on the homepage. And now you'll see on the homepage there's nowhere to actually search if you're looking for a place to search. So for a particular topic, so go to Q&A, questions and answers. So now you've got a question, all right? So you click on Q&A and you will see it brings up various categories, orders. See if my mouse is working. I don't think so, no. Orders, Konos, language, there they are listed. You just open one of those. I'll open the first one and show you. There's a whole lot of questions and answers pertaining to orders. Okay. But let me presume that you've come here to the questions and answers and you've got a question in your mind and you don't know where to find it on the website. So you come to the search and you say costs, because that's what we're talking about. You want to know what the costs of Oikos are, or the general costs of home education. And so you would put costs there in the search field and it'll bring up various different options of what this website, Oikos, has with regard to this topic. So I'm going to just click on the first one. What are the costs? And I'm going to go there for you and show you that here we have a video. It's 7 minutes long. If you aren't able to watch it, there is a transcript on that video as well and an audio clip, as you will see. So there's the transcript about this topic of costs. But what we would really love is if you were able to actually watch that video, because it shows you the good news, what I was telling you about. There's a reason why we have an image of cutting costs there, the scissors cutting through the cost, because that is one of the goals of Oikos, is to keep the cost as down as we possibly can and affordable as we possibly can. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you, is you can just go on the website and search. I'm going to go and put costs in again there to see if there's anything else. It says Q&A, I'm working, can I still home educate, combining my orders. That was, people were doing that to try and cut costs. It didn't actually work out to be a saving for them. So we did a video on it to explain why it's not such a great idea to combine orders with others, because now we offer you free courier. See, there it is, little poster, free courier. That's for orders over 1,400. And on that topic of orders over 1,400, I now want to show you why this is a good news report for you today. Because I'm going to take you here to this page. And you will see the shocker, expected costs of 1 year of education in 2018. These figures have been taken from a very, very large pool of research and facts that have come from surveys. And you will see there, public and primary or high school is 34,000 per student per year. Private primary school is 84,742. Private high school is 136, and university is 58. As you've heard, I've just rounded those off. But the reason why I wanted to show you that graph is because, as I say, this graph isn't just made up figures. It was done after enormous amount of research. In fact, research that took over a year to compile this, gathering all the facts. And these are now the averages of what it would cost, the expected cost for education at that level of public primary and then private primary. You can see it's double for private. Okay, so now the reason why I wanted to draw your attention to that is to say to you that if you can go and watch that cost video that I've sent you to by showing you where to find it on the website, I'm hoping you're going to see the good news, and that is that when families choose to home educate, they can either spend an enormous amount of money on their home education, or they can really, really save a great deal. It all depends on individuals' budgets, because what the tendency is sometimes for home educators to do is they try and do too much. So now they've taken their children out of school and they know they're used to paying X amount for the home, for public school or private school fees. And now they come to home educate and they seem to think that that amount that they were paying must now match, and they've got that same amount to pay for home education. And they found that they'll either need to spend a lot less for a much higher quality education, or they end up adding a whole lot of extras to their home education journey, their costs, their home education costs. So they enroll the children in lots of extra things and extramurals, and each one of those cost extra. And they can tend to, I'm sort of generalizing here, and I'm cautioning you to not do this, because what I've discovered is parents tend to overdo it in the beginning. I think because they are used to a budget being much higher than what it needs to be when they are home educating. Now, this isn't to say that you need to consider home education as something that's cheap in a negative sense, because it's really, really, really not that. Because home education is excellent education. How do you improve on one-on-one tuition? People generally pay really premium amounts to get one-on-one tuition. And so you as the parent, caring for your children, educating them one at a time, sitting with them, nurturing them, mentoring them, all of that is actually results in very, very excellent levels of education, of what those students are receiving in the form of education, in the form of loving and nurturing and guiding. They're not sitting in a classroom with lots and lots of other children, with one teacher trying to attend to the education of all of those children. So, as a home educator, the good news is the fact that you are actually achieving this incredible premium education, excellent education for your children at a tremendously reduced cost to what it would cost you if you were putting your children into a private schooling situation, which is pretty much what like home education scenarios like, even better, because private education is giving you the best. That's, we hope. I mean, that's not to say public education is not good. It's just that the home education is really an environment of excellence because of the nature of it. I mean, you're at home, you don't have distractions of time frames to deal with. You know, if a student of one of your children is having a difficulty of a maths lesson, you can take your time. You don't have to stop because the bell rang. As I'm saying that, I'm thinking I should caution you to not have to stop because your phone rang. So I do suggest you turn your phones off and all other distractions when you are focusing on helping your children in a lesson that you are helping them with. But to get back to the costs, I want to just say that people that are ordering Oikos resources and really not holding back with what they order, let's say they're getting their maths and their language and all their social studies subjects, and they're doing all of that, they are paying a lot less than what you saw those figures were that I put up on the screen just now. 84,000 odd for private education for 1 year for one child, as you see there. It is, I don't actually know of an example where a family has spent that kind of money at Oikos for one of their children. In fact, I don't even know of an example where a family has spent that amount of money for all of their children, be it 1 or 7. So really, that is, I'm just stating the facts here. You know, you would be able to see for yourself once you've watched that cost video and once you've gone onto the Oikos website and put all whatever you want into your basket and see what the total is. You will see it comes to a lot less than that, even when you go to the extreme of not holding back. And so that's why it's good news, you see, because it's not as though because the amount is so much less means that the value is less. That's what I was excited about sharing with you, is that you're actually paying a whole lot less than what you would be for a way inferior education. I'm just saying it as it is, because it really, unless you've been a negligent parent and you're just not teaching your children and they're not being trained at home, and you're doing that and you're not buying any resources of any nature and you're not spending any time with them, well, that's negligence and it's costing you nothing, but your children aren't getting a good education. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when you are investing in your children as a home educator, and you will find that the total amount that you invest in them is going to be considerably less than if you're putting them into a school. That is what our facts have shown us. I'm not speaking out of turn. I'm not making it up. I have gathered the facts and I'm giving you the facts that we have. And here at Oikos, we know how much people are spending on their resources. We can see on an average how much a person is spending. And I can tell you right now, I will tell it to you as it is. This is the 11th of September, 2018. And people are spending between $1,400 or $1,500 because they get free courier after $1,400. So I think people are being good stewards and putting a few things together so that they don't have to have the added shipping cost. They're spending between that and say 5,000 Rand. That is the sort of general average. And so if you think of those figures and what a parent is getting for that to teach their children, it is just, I'm excited. I'm excited to be able to tell you what a gift that is, and the value of it is so great. I don't think there's parents there that will disagree with me when I say that the maths curriculum is of an incredibly high standard. People just love maths, you see, because it's good, because it works, because it offers an excellent education when used diligently and correctly, of course. You know, obviously it's not going to if it's left on the shelf, and it's the same with the language. And of course, we've got the Bible study, which I like to always remind everybody of. And I know you've heard me speak about this time and time again about my passion of Konos and Konos living. And my passion is there for a lot of reasons, not just the main primary one being that we can be focusing on the training of our children's character and molding their character towards being equipped and ready for adult life, such as teaching them to be patient people and joyful and attentive and obedient. And we're focusing on those characteristics when we're doing Konos. But what's also exciting is that if I stay on the topic of costs today, you're getting all your social studies subjects that people like to call them, all the extra. I'm not talking about numeracy and literacy, which is your sequential. It has to go in particular sequential order to teach those formal subjects. All the rest are in the school system considered as just knowledge based. You're teaching geography and the facts of geography, I suppose, and then history and so on. But Konos is focusing on training and teaching character development. And while you're doing that, you're doing your social studies subjects with all of your children at the same time. You're not trying to do a geography lesson with your 10-year-old and a different kind of level or knowledge-related geography lesson with your 14-year-old. You are doing, stewardship. Okay? And all of you, the whole family, are focusing on stewardship and from your Konos manual. And you are learning you're teaching your children about being good stewards. And with that comes geography. And in that comes a whole lot of study pertaining to land and so on and so forth. I won't go into the details of Konos because we've done a whole Konos workshop to show you how that is doable. If you can, if you've got time, and I would love you to have time to just go again to the website and put in the search field Konos, and you will see everything, all the videos we have done for you to help you along the journey of Konos living. But I am talking a lot about Konos now again because of the fact that we're discussing costs today. And if you think about the fact that a family buys one Konos manual and it lasts them, they're busy with it for a good couple of years. In fact, they would have to take a lifetime of you doing every activity to be able to exhaust it. So a family gets one Konos manual, they use it for a good couple of years for all of their children, and it's costing them a couple of $1,000 to cover all their social studies subjects for all their aged children. Now, to me, that is a tiny amount for the great value that you get from it, because I know we've had value from this Konos living beyond what I can measure. And that's why I'm excited to share with you this cost topic today, because I know here at Oikos that what we are offering and what we're giving you is such great value in the form of giving you resources to train and teach your children in the Word, to help you as the parent to be focused in molding and putting attention to the raising and attention of training their characters. And then we've got the numeracy and literacy. And then science is also there. That's sort of also kind of a formal subject. It's more knowledge-based as well. But science complements Konos nicely. So it's there as an extra. Okay, so we do have the extras, music and science and art and those things. But the main topic of today was to share with you about the value of the reduced costs of being able to educate your children at home. So I'm going to suggest that you put a budget together that is for education and don't overspend. In fact, I remember talking to Kathy LaCordia. She was with me on live streaming a little while ago, and she's a veteran here in South Africa, and she speaks to people about, please don't spend too much money. She's got shelves of books that she thought she needed that she never used. So be careful. I want to caution you to not overspend. And I want to also say to you that the value isn't about the rands and cents at the end of the day. It's about the time that you're spending with your children and in this home education journey. You can't put a price on it. You can't. There's just too great a value in being able to stay at home and be a committed, intentional, dedicated parents in the raising and educating of your children. And so Oikos is here to offer you some resources to help you to do that as effectively, as economically, and with the greatest value that we can possibly offer. I know that the reality is prices are going up left, right, and center. And I mean, we feel it here. We go to get, we're about to receive a shipment coming in, and the quote for getting the books, our import from the docks to the door here at Oikos is just double to what it was last year. And so now here we're sitting trying to work out where we can reduce other costs so that we don't have to increase the costs of the resources, which might be necessary, which it was actually on the 1st of October, we had to put all the prices up, but we hadn't for a very long time. So the thing is, what I'm saying is I'm not dismissing the fact that I realize that costs are going up everywhere, and they have even gone up in Oikos. But even after that, when you do the sums and you add your list together of the resources you need for your children, I'm hoping are going to be left with a smile on your face. I really hope. And I really hope that you will watch that cost video, because you will see how we have tried to make it be that you're not spending your precious funds on things you don't need. So you buy a parent book, you don't need to buy another one. You just need to buy the student book. And I'm sorry, but people, what do you call it? Developers of those resources do have to revise their works from time to time. And so, yes, there's sometimes this little overlap whereby maybe you bought a parent book last year and you have to buy another parent book this year because it's upgraded and it doesn't match. Well, we try and keep that at a minimal as we possibly can so that you're not having unnecessary added expense where we can help you not to. So was happy to show you that it's good news, because when I see what the costs of education out there are, I was quite shocked. And I was very pleased to know that we can offer you such quality, excellent resources. I say it so boldly and confidently because I know that's what it is. I also know what Konos can give you. And I know people seem to be afraid of Konos, and people have told me I had Konos on the shelf for a few years and then I sold it or I gave it away because it was too overwhelming for me, because it's not directing the parent enough or whatever their fears were of Konos. I'm hoping all those fears as well are eliminated when you watch the workshop and you embrace it and see how much good and value you can get out of a Konos manual, and you do not have to spend a whole lot of money on all sorts of extras that might just actually sit on the shelf. So now I'm going to go back to the Facebook page where we're doing this live stream. I'm going to see who has joined me and what questions you might have had, and I'm going to also answer some of the other questions. All right, so Judy has joined us. Judy, I hope you are still with us. I see you did send a question in earlier, and I'm going to answer some of those questions now. I'm not quite sure what's happening here because I've come here and things are confusing me. So let me rather focus on just answering the questions that I had that came in earlier, and then I'll see if I can get back to those ones if there are any on Facebook. If you're asking questions on Facebook, please just hang in there with me. I'm going to get to them. But for now, let me do these ones that came in. This question said, I am doing science and I'm starting with around the world now. That's around the world in 80 days, 180 days, I mean. So how do I divide the time between these two? Should I do 2 days science and 2 days history? Good question. We don't have any formulas here at Oikos, as you probably discovered. I'm not going to say, yes, that is correct. You must do 2 days science and 2 days around the world in 180 days because of the fact that we prefer to guide you with the following response to that answer, and that is, do what is relevant at the time, the interest for your children, the time frame you have. For example, if I answered that with some sort of formula, and now mom's home educating and she's expecting a baby, and she's thinking, oh my goodness, I haven't got to my 2 days of science. You see, that could happen because she's feeling that she needs to achieve at a certain level. Well, I hope that whoever's watching this and is feeling that way, that I can help you to stop feeling that way, because you don't need to feel that way. You need to embrace home education as a lifestyle whereby you do what is relevant at the time of your family season. So this mom is asking, I've started 180 days, around the world in 180 days. It's a wonderful curriculum. if you want to know more about it, it is on the Oikos website. How we use it as a family is very, very different to how each individual family will use. Some will use it as, well, let me just answer that. In the testimonies I've heard, I heard one mom saying that she got it for one of her daughters. She's got 3 daughters, and one of them wanted to do this around the world in 180 days on her own. She wanted her own resource that she could go and do for herself. And her mother said, that's fine, you can do that, but you need to share what you are discovering and learning with the rest of the family. So this daughter was doing 180 days entirely on her own as her own independent personal study, and then at dinner time or whenever, I don't know when, because they didn't go into those details, but the student who was the daughter who was using 180 days for her own learning would then share what she had discovered with the rest of the family in the time frame that worked for the family. So you see, in that instance, that was one person in the family that was doing the learning and the study from it and sharing it with the rest of them just verbally. In our own example, we used to use Around the World in 180 Days as part of our Bible study, if that makes sense, because what we did is we did Bible study and then we did 180 days because I was wanting to impart to the children a view beyond themselves and their own little community, and this is where we live, and this is our family, and this is our community, and this is our suburb. I wanted them to expand their view and their understanding beyond that. And so I was doing Around the World in 180 Days for that purpose. And I've shared a bit about this on a video that we did about this particular resource on the Oikos website. And with what we got from that was we would see what were the greatest needs in a particular country. For example, medical needs was their greatest shortage. So then the reason why we tied it in with Bible study is because we would then take what we had learned about that country, and then we would pray specifically for that country regarding that particular need that they had. So that's what we did with 180 days. But I also found that when we were spending time Around the World in 180 days, sometimes we did it every day, sort of attached to our Bible study time. Other times we didn't do it for a couple of weeks. And then I remember there was a time when we only did it on Fridays because we didn't do formal language and maths for a while. And on Fridays was our Konos and our Bible study and our 180 days time. So it was an opportunity for, if there was an activity with 180 days for the children, they had to draw a map or make a relief map for mountains or rivers or whatever it was, the activity that was built into 180 days. I would see how that overlapped with the activities we were doing with Konos. Now, this might sound all just too overwhelming, like how do I know what to do and when to do? The answer to that is you don't have to do these things. It's not a have to, it's a do what is right for your family. What is important is what is important to God. That's what you've got to keep your sights on. He wants you to be good parents. He wants you to nurture and love your children. He wants you to teach them numeracy and literacy so they can be useful to him. And he wants them to have character that is transformed into his image. That's why I love Konos. Okay, now if 180 days is going to support that vision and you're going to bring it into your lessons, learning, lifestyle, and it's going to enhance it, well, then it's a fantastic resource to add. In fact, it's a very loved resource, this Around the World in 180 Days. And people really do enjoy it because of the fact that it expands one's view. You know, it's not keeping you limited or your children limited. It really, really brings a wonderful expansion across the nations. So that, I think, is one of the reasons why it is so loved. But there's lots of reasons, but it's very well laid out. Thank you to Sherry for having written it. Let me tell you, Sherry, who wrote it, is a grandmother. I don't even know how many grandchildren she's got now. I forgot, I've lost count. But she home educated her children. She also had a few children. I also don't know how many the number is. And then she has been involved in the home education of her grandchildren now. So she didn't write Around the World in 180 Days for it to be a curriculum. She wrote it for it to be a resource and a tool in a parent's hand to help them not to have to spend hours of time getting all these facts and figures that she gathered, and she put it into the form of a manual to be able to help you as the parent. And that is what home education resources should be to you. They should be a helping tool, an aid, a support, a wonderful resource to support you, not to rule you or to make you afraid or make you unable to achieve what you're trying to achieve because it's overwhelming you. And I know that's what's happened with the Kronos manual with some parents. They feel overwhelmed by it. And I'm not sure why exactly. Maybe it's the size. Maybe it's not because it's not instructing the parent to directly enough, do this and then do that. It's basically, here's the activities, pick which ones you would like to do. Maybe that's just a little bit too not structured enough for them. And so then that makes it scary. I'm not sure. But I don't want you to be scared of Kronos. I want you to please watch the workshop and be able to dive in and enjoy it because there's so much value in it. Okay, so that is the question about how much time to spend on 180 days and on science. I didn't even talk about science, but it's the same answer. It's whether it's 180 days curriculum or whether it's a science curriculum. Actually, before I go to the next question, let me just say something about the science, and that is, one of your children, the mom who asked that question, one of your children might just love science. And so then 2 days might not be enough because maybe you have a son or a daughter that just wants to do more science, in which case, as a mother, you would give opportunity for more science. As I'm saying that, I'm also thinking that sometimes too much is too much. Such less is best is one of our little mottos we like to use when it comes to overdoing something that you think is good and then you overdo it. Like ice cream is good, but if you have too much, it's not so good anymore. Some people might not think ice cream is even good. So you see, it's all individual to each specific family, what works for you. It's the same with home education when it comes to the resources. It's the same thing. You're not going to feed your children ice cream all day and give them it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I hope not. You're going to give them a balanced diet, one would hope. Well, it's the same with home education. When it comes to resources, give them a balanced diet, if I may say. Think of it like that. Think of the resources as giving them a balanced diet. Not too much maths. Not too much language, not spending 2 hours doing maths. Not even in high school did you sit and spend 2 hours doing maths, I don't think. I don't think there was a lesson I think they were broken into hour-long lessons. And that's at a high school level. So I'm just cautioning you because I'm hearing of parents that are sitting with their little ones and trying to get them to do maths until they finish the page, and the child sitting there in tears. And the mother wants him to finish his page, and he's 9 or something, and whatever. You know where I'm going with this. So I'm just telling you, please be careful of that. Don't do that. Keep learning to be something that is enjoyed, not a punishment. I speak of that on the Call to Hear series, actually. All right, now here's another question. This is a little longer, this question. I'm going to read it out. It says, hello, Sonia. My daughter is 16 and my son is 14. I did exploring creation with general science with the 16-year-old, and we just started, but she didn't like it. I'm busy with my 14-year-old son with the J. Weil science in the ancient world. So I do both now with them. Oh, good. That's good. Okay, I stopped the high school science with my girl. You see, there's a mom. She's just been wise. She knows. Daughter wasn't enjoying the other one, and so pulled her back, and she's doing it together with her children. Made the right choice. She goes on to say, do I do all 4 books of the J. Weil with them? She is now 16 and she loves anatomy. Now you see, there you've got a 16-year-old. Now this mom's thinking, how am I going to get all 4 of these books? 16, maybe I do 2 a year, 16, 17, 18, and we're not even going to get to the other science, and we would have only done J science. And so now you're questioning, how do you do it? Where do you fit it in? So the answer is, the first part of the question, do I do all 4? The answer I give you to that is, I don't know. I'll tell you why. Because maybe you do 2 of them, the J. Weil books, and you find by doing those that your daughter has taken a tremendous interest in a particular topic, which you've already said, because you said here that your daughter loves anatomy. So now there's a book in the Young Explorers series called Human Anatomy. Then there's biology as well in the higher levels, in junior high or high school, whatever you want to refer to it as. The thing is, your daughter's 16. Now you say, but junior Young Explorers books, science books, and she's 16. Isn't that too young? I don't think so. Isn't the book too young for her? I don't think so if she knows nothing about it. For example, if I'm going to start some new craft and I don't know the first thing about it, I'm going to get a beginner's book on that craft because I have no knowledge on that particular thing, making candles and thinking of a candle. I'm going to get a really basic book to learn the basics about candle making. It doesn't matter about my age, see? So if your daughter loves anatomy, I would start at the point of interest. So I would get that anatomy book. You've got a younger son as well, and she would just read through it. She doesn't necessarily need to do all the little activities that are based at a younger level, but that book could just be an interesting book for her to read, because let's face it, it's a beautiful book. Okay, all the Young Explorers books are beautiful. People love them. So if you got that and she read through it, then you pass it on to your son. So now you are attending to that interest. Okay, let me carry on reading. I do have the Apologia Science Human Anatomy and Physiology. Oh, you've got it. You've really got it. I should have continued reading. So where do I fit it in? Okay, I would say you don't really need to fit it in the fact that your daughter's 16, you give her the book, you've already got it, she starts reading it. That's it. She just reads it out of interest. You as mom, I don't think need to fit it in. Now let's say she's reading it and she's not really getting to it, and she's not, well, then she's lost interest, or she's not as interested as you thought she was, or that she thought she was on this topic. That's another whole story now, because the thing is you need to encourage your children to be conscientious and to finish what they start and all those things as well. So maybe there needs to be a little bit of cheerleading and encouraging going there to help your daughter to push through on what it is that she has started. Okay, where do I fit it in, and when do I go on to the thick book, Exploring Creation with General Science? It is a bit overwhelming, and sorry for this long question. Please don't be sorry for the long question. I like your long question, because as you can see, it gives me opportunity to address quite a number of topics that I hope will help a lot of parents, not just the mom who's asking the question. So thank you for asking the question to this mom, and I hope it's helping you and other moms. But about the thick book, as I said just now about Konos, I think the thickness of the book seems to overwhelm people. It doesn't need to. I want to quickly just talk about that, and then I'll come back to that thick science book. The Konos is, we've kept it in a file, even though they made it into a book like this in America, thick book, and it was overwhelming. So we keep it in a file, so people just take out the one characteristic, one character trait at a time, let's say stewardship, and they only take out the stewardship section, and it's a little few pages, 20 maybe, and then that's what they put into a flip file or something, and then that's the only one that they use. The rest of the file waits for when they need to do the next character trait. So suddenly the overwhelmingness is removed. But when it comes to the science book, you can't remove that because it's a bound science book and it is thick. So how about helping your daughter to see it in modules? The first module, and at the end of that module, there's study questions that you're going to spend some time with her on. And you've got the answer book, the mom's got the answer book, so you don't have to be overwhelmed by not yourself having all that knowledge. And how you're going to help your student is what happens when they get to the higher levels. Like, oh, I don't think I remember learning all that myself, or I haven't retained that knowledge that I learned when I was that age. It's not a problem. You've got the parent book. That's why I get excited about what Oikos has to offer, because it's so helpful. That's the whole point. So you've got the parent book, and your daughter can go off and start doing that module on her own, just one module. She can take as long as she needs to take. You can help her if she needs help. And here is even more, and that is, we've got every one of these higher level science on audio CD. Now I have to say this has been a huge help for families that are not English first language at home, English speaking first language. They really enjoy this audiobook, because what happens is the student puts the audiobook in, the CD in, and listens to the book being read to them, and they follow in the book. So they're getting the correct pronunciation of the science terminology, and they're not having the overwhelming feeling of having to read through this because it seems just too much. So what about breaking it down for your daughter and just taking that first module and saying, let's just focus on that, not the rest of the book, just this module. Look, it's only these few pages. And then just focus on that. And when it's finished, we're going to have some time discussing it with the study guide at the end of the book. There's a whole lot of questions at the end of the module. There's questions there for the student to answer. You don't turn that into a test or an exam and test their knowledge. Turn that rather into an opportunity for you to sit with the parent book, read through the answers yourself so you have some knowledge yourself of what you're going to be discussing with your student, and use it as a time to sit and have a cup of tea and talk about what has been gained in the lesson, what you and your student child have learnt while doing that first module. And the most exciting part of that is when you hear your children saying, your God is amazing. I had no idea that God is our creator. Wow. When you hear that, then you know that's what matters with that module. Whether they remember the different terminology and what matches with what, and they might forget that, it's okay. Because maybe they'll never need it in their adult life. Maybe in their adult life, if they do need it, they can go to Google and put in that whatever they need and do the research then, because you, the mom, have given them the research skills. You've helped them not to feel overwhelmed by study, by research, by gaining knowledge. They're not overwhelmed by it. They're excited about it. They're hungry for it. That's what you need to be instilling in your children. Not so much what knowledge they got out of the book, but more that they were not overwhelmed by it, more that they finished what they started, such as that human anatomy book that you were talking about. Do you know that this question, I have still not finished reading it. My daughter, my girl is not really a science girl. She likes anatomy, but my husband wants her to have a good general knowledge. Okay, well, your husband is wanting your children to be well-rounded and have good general knowledge and to be raised with skills and knowledge that will assist them in their adult life, I would presume. That has been a good parent, wanting your children not to be ignorant. But the thing is how much knowledge and what knowledge do you have to put into their heads before they are adults? I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that might agree with this line of thinking. And that is the knowledge that we were taught in school of what relevance or what support or help is it for us today. Are we using all of that, all of those hours that were spent on teaching us knowledge-based things? How much of it do we use? I would say, well, because I was partially home educated, the thing that I took from my childhood was more the training of character and family and discipline and all those things. Knowledge we can gain. We can get knowledge when we need it. And let's face it, 5 years from now, I'm going to be needing to get knowledge that I haven't even heard of before. It absolutely amazes me that our daughter was born before Google was heard of. So we had a baby and Google was not even a word that we had ever heard of. And now you've got this incredible technology whereby we can go and do research. It just amazes me. I mean, we're doing live streaming now. The only way we could do live streaming is by going and doing the research on the internet and finding out what equipment we needed, what kind of internet connection. It's been a learning curve, and we've been every step of the way we learn something new, and so it goes on. But this, what I've been having to learn about live streaming now, wasn't even part of the thought process when I was a child. So what would have it helped if, no, not would have it helped, there wasn't even this to teach me when I was a child. So as an adult, I need to realize that what I need is perseverance, because there's many times we could have given up with this live streaming attempt because it's just been so challenging. It hasn't just been, oh, switch on the button and let's go, we live stream. No, somewhat more involved than that. So I'm hoping these steps we've had to take to endure will actually help others to endure with their live streaming so that they can help people globally as well. So it's all worth it. So I don't know. It's a very long way to answer the last part of your statement here. More statement than a question. Your husband would like her to have good general knowledge. I truly would spend more time in developing her skills that will assist her to acquire the general knowledge she needs when she needs it, whatever's appropriate in her season of life. Whether she's getting married, whether she's having children, whether she's in some profession, some workplace, she needs to be able to have the character and the skills more than general knowledge. That's what I think. Okay, that was the answer to that. And it ends with thank you so much for your time. You know you are so, so, so welcome. I love to be able to be here to help you. If there's anything more, let me just see. I keep taking these glasses on and off because I can't see the screen without them. You do not have to. Okay. Oh, this question. I don't like reading questions that are not very, when somebody's really, really struggling. This mom says she's just so exhausted. She's exhausted. She's not happy. Well, I want to say stop exhausting yourself. I want to say focus on just getting the joy back. I don't know what is exhausting you, but whatever it is, stop letting it. Don't allow it. If it's that you're just overwhelmed, well, then put everything down and take a breath and take a rest. That's what I say. Don't be exhausted. I mean, I can hear from this question that this mom is just frazzled. How else can I help you? Maybe make some tea and go to the Oikos site and watch some of the videos that we've got to help you to just feel restored and comforted and strengthened again. Maybe you've taken on too much. Maybe it's time just to take a break. It's okay, you know. You don't have to, you shouldn't get yourself to frazzled point. It's not, I hope I can stop you from getting to a frazzled point. Okay, now I'm going to go back to the live, I'm going to go back to Facebook. Okay, Sylvie's there. Hello, Sonia. Hello, Sonia, says Sylvie. Hello, Sylvie, says Sonia. Hello, Sylvie. Thank you for joining me. I love it when people are there because it's so nice talking to people. And Alison, thank you also for joining me. And Johan asks me a question. Can you get the Oikos curriculum in Afrikaans? Do you know what, Johan? We do not have any of the curriculum translated into Afrikaans. But it's okay because Konos is for the parent, is a parent manual. So you would read it, and then there's many Afrikaans families that are using Konos, and they do the activities in their own language, obviously, their own home language. And there's an article written in Afrikaans on the Oikos website of a testimony of a family that have used Oikos resources all their life for raising their children. And there's also some videos in Afrikaans. So I was asking the question in English, and Fred and Yunanza were answering in Afrikaans, and there's a series of them. It's under the video testimonies. Jimmy, maybe you can just put the link in the Facebook feed for Johan. Imelda's there too. Hello, Imelda, if you're still there. Okay, Johan was asking about the prices that I was asking earlier. Showing you earlier, whether it was calculated over the whole year, the whole school time. No. I was told that those calculations were year by year. For the 1 year, 2018, the cost of public schooling was whatever that was that I was showing you earlier on. I don't have the figures in my head anymore. And now Imelda's asked about Konos series in Afrikaans. I hope that I answered that question, Imelda, with pointing you to the Afrikaans testimonies, and also saying to you that the Afrikaans families are using the Konos curriculum all over the country because, in fact, here's a fact, interesting fact. Do you know that we have way more Afrikaans families using Konos than English families? How about that? Afrikaans families are very, the culture of the Afrikaans family suits Kona's curriculum. So there you have it. I'm happy about that. Okay, I'm going to read this what Sylvia, I don't know if you've been following this, but Sylvie says the knowledge isn't important, but the atmosphere in which things are taught will remain a memory forever. Having a relaxed, happy home in which you can discipline your children is first prize, more precious than any head knowledge. Agreed, agreed, agreed. Mom's tea for tired moms. Come, Mandy, come. Come and have a mom's tea and just relax and rest. We've got a beautiful environment here where it's quiet, it's in the country, it's peaceful. The only sound you're going to hear is birds. Well, last mom's tea, the moms slept over and some of them got a little bit nervous because they were hearing jackals in the night. But we do live out in the country, and so there are things like zebras munching the grass outside your window. I remember when my aunt was staying with us, she came rushing through to tell us there was a wild animal outside. It was just a zebra eating the grass. And so there is nature happening around you, but mostly you only hear a tremendous variety of different bird songs. That's the sound that is more than any other. So you don't hear traffic and sirens and those things. And if you need to rest and you need to take time out and just come and rest and have a bit of a refreshing time, well, then the Mom's Tea is the place to do that. So you go to the Oikos homepage, you go to events, and there you'll see when the next Mom's Tea is, and you can book to come. That'll be nice. There is no charge for those Mom's Teas, so it's not like it has to be a budget restraint thing. Mandy, are you the same Mandy that was here at the last Mom's Tea? I'm telling you all about it, and you already know that all you hear is birds. And also you saw all our butterflies, and you taught me a few things about butterflies. I think this is the same Mandy. Thank you for joining me, Mandy, if it is the same Mandy. Just tell me if you're still there. Sylvie was at the Mom's Tea, and she's just spoken about the jackals, because it's not just the birds you hear, it's the jackals too. Okay. I wonder if Karen is still there. Karen, are you still there? Oh, yes, it is me. Ah. Hello, Mandy. Thank you for joining me here on the live streaming today, ladies. But I am aware that we have been going about an hour now. Is that right, Jamie? And so I must now say goodbye to everybody, not because I have to, because an hour is up, but more because I'm concerned about the weather. And it's been a very hot day here. And normally when it's a very hot day here, it actually very often ends in quite a vicious storm. Our thoughts to those in the States who are in the midst of the most horrendous storm. I think it's called Hurricane Michael at the moment, that's going through Florida, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, who have just come through some other storms. So I'm just, my thoughts and prayers are with those people and all that they're having to endure with what they're going through with such a horrendous storm. But our storms here in where we are more like electric storms, and they're very hectic. Now, something has gone chung, as though it's disappeared here on my Facebook. It's totally gone blank white. So that is a sign for me to say goodbye to everybody. I can't even see the Facebook feed anymore. So thank you for joining me. I'm very, very happy you could be there. And thank you for your questions and your attendance. I feel very blessed. I hope that you have a wonderful Friday and a wonderful weekend, and that you do rest and you manage to have a peaceful time, so next week will be a glorious one, full of joy and strength. Thanks. Thanks for being with me. Bye.